This is Marketing Jam, a show featuring the brightest minds in marketing. Marketing Jam is brought to you by Cyber Impact, the email marketing platform made specifically for Canadian small businesses. Go to cyberimpact.com/jelly, create a free account, and start sending CASL-compliant promotional emails in just a few clicks.
I want to welcome you to the next episode of Marketing Jam. We have Vinod, who is the CEO and founder of Shop and Shout, and I'm really excited because we're going to get right into it. So I don't know if you saw our episode with Cision, but we're gloves are off, no holding back here.
Perfect.
And Vinod is ready for it.
All right, let's go.
So why don't you tell us your origin story? How did you end up starting Shop and Shout, and why?
Yeah, sure. So, I was a buyer at Best Buy for a number of years and
Okay.
fortunate enough to work with some brands like Fitbit and Samsung and Apple on their initial product launches for what was kind of the first generation of wearable tech.
Whoa,
So,
that's cool.
Yeah, I was in a category called step trackers and pedometers.
Okay.
And very boring. I was
Yeah.
a junior buyer at the time, and yeah, it was before Fitbit and all these other brands came along, you clipped something to your shirt and
Yeah.
counted some steps and called it a day, and
Yeah.
then brands like Fitbit and Apple and Samsung started coming out with this really cool technology around tracking your steps and getting fitter and being more active.
Wearing the
Fitbit and all of that stuff.
Do you wear one now?
I don't. I feel like I've worn them all, so
Okay.
now I'm kind of just taking a breather.
Okay. And Nike had that shoe.
In their shoe,
Remember that?
yeah, into the shoe. I have the shoes.
Okay,
I do have the
because
shoes.
I had the app when
Yeah,
I
yeah.
ran,
Yeah.
but I didn't own the shoe.
Did it work?
But it was a great app.
was great, yeah.
Yeah, but now and then Under Armour and Reebok.
They're all coming out,
Yeah,
Reebok, and they're coming out with that. And so, working for Best Buy gave me the opportunity to really learn from a really established large organization on what national campaigns look like and what's involved and that kind of stuff. And we tried a lot of different avenues, and the one that really stuck, long story short, was using influencers and targeting the right influencers in different niches. So we had moms talking to the moms, we had fitness fanatics talking to everyone that wanted to be ripped and full six pack, and just the Joe Blow that just wanted a little bit more steps or to get a better sleep. And the cool thing that we saw happen was we were, when we gave the product to them, they all spoke about it differently, but it resonated with their audience. So, giving it to a few key stakeholders in targeted communities, we were able to reach the masses pretty quickly and then market share.
Nationally?
This was nationally,
Yeah,
And
okay.
then so, and then obviously we captured a lot of market share, and now we know what Fitbit is today, and and the success continues. So, when I saw it working, there were a few hiccups or a few kind of constraints that I saw, which is, very time consuming, a lot of labor, a lot of legal, a lot of back and forth, and it was really expensive, quite frankly. And luckily, Best Buy doesn't have that big of a problem with spending and the vendors at the same time. But most businesses, 90%, just don't have the budget to scale a campaign of that size, and that's kind of what inspired the need for Shop and Shout, which is kind of an automated way to just launch an influencer campaign and scale it nationally.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you go from Best Buy? Did you do the whole you quit your day job and went all in?
Yeah,
for this?
yeah.
Okay.
So I left and I took a gig as a 1-year stint for a director of operations for a different company, and kind of when I was there, kind of building the framework for what I thought, and my girlfriend at the time, we co-founded the company and wrote business plans and went on we went on some trips, and basically Shop and Shout was kind of conceived on these trips and these walks, and then we stitched together a business plan and found a developer and kind of jumped into it. And yeah, we got burned, and we had some highs and we had some lows, as everyone who's ever started a business will go through. But it kind of made it, and then we were lucky enough to run into a really awesome legal team, and who basically said. It was really funny. I went into his name is Tim, and I told him that I needed to do a stock split or a share split. And then when he kind of looked at what we were doing and understood a little bit more about the traction we had made, he's like, "No, you don't need a stock." He's like, "You need some investors. You need to get going."
Okay.
And so and then long story short, here we are. Yeah. After that, it was kind of great. Okay, Tim's our guy.
And Tim, did he find other investors?
He helped us find other investors. He helped stitch together. We're so lucky to have such an amazing board with Andrew Reed and Peter McLaughlin and Zane Jaffer from some very large companies, Mobify, Rival Technologies, and Best Buy. So yeah, Tim was instrumental in surrounding ourselves with the right people and kind of getting us to a level where we look like a really attractive investment opportunity for some angels.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really cool. So I need to mention those that are in Canada and those that are in the U.S., but
Yeah.
both on Hulu and Netflix, they put out Fire festival documentaries.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? You probably saw it.
Yeah, I did.
And what did that do for the influencer industry, and how has Shop and Shout responded?
Yeah, I think so. So when it all happened, to be honest, I wasn't very involved in what was going on at the time. I had heard about it. Yeah. I heard a lot about it, only solidifying that this industry was kind of emerging and up and coming. And then when I saw the documentaries, you pick off some different pieces, and that was really interesting. I learned from the documentary that, what not to do. And, I think the idea was awesome. I think the idea is super novel. They had a target group. They had, this massive, what could have went down as, one of the biggest parties ever held. Yeah. And, unfortunately it just didn't work out, and some decisions were made that, maybe weren't the best. But, I learned that influencer marketing is here to stay. Everyone's kind of about it. And what I also learned is there's also different verticals within this, the influencer market. It's kind of ballooned to a size now where now they're segmenting macro influencers from nano influencers, from micro influencers and trailblazers, and these all different segments of influencers that work within and kind of are under the umbrella of what is influencer marketing.
So if you were to list them all, macro would be like what Fire Festival, like the Kylie Jenner.
Celebrity macro,
macro. Yeah. Kind of like, and they've been around for ages.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
Nikes,
exactly.
Right?
The whole influencer marketing concept has been around forever. Jordan, Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Kobe. I'm thinking athletes because I watch sports, but
that's macro.
That's macro. They're celebrities.
But the internet has enabled us, and Instagram has enabled us to find those smaller ones. So what's the next level down for macro?
So macro, and then I'd call it celebrities macro.
Yeah, celebrities macro.
And then kind of a trailblazer, which is someone that's kind of up and coming, about to hit that Instagram celebrity status. So
under 100K.
I would say trailblazer around 150 or less. Yeah. And then we've got kind of a macro, which is kind of from 10 to
micro.
Micro. Yeah. So after Trailblazer, we've got a micro, which kind of fills, which tends to be kind of the bulk
to 150.
Of 10 to 150 is kind of what a micro is.
Yeah.
And then you've got nanos, which we consider kind of under 10. Yeah.
Wow. And everyone has a role.
And everyone's got a role. It's the trends that you see are very correlated with engagement and resonance with the audience.
Yeah.
So you put a product in the hands of Kim Kardashian, it's going to get massive exposure, probably a lot of attention on it.
Yeah.
Will it resonate with her audience, and will it convert? Don't know. It depends. A beauty product with her, maybe.
Yeah.
A lifestyle health and wellness product, maybe not.
Yeah.
Right. Really depends. But when you can give it to a handful of macro or nano or even kind of trailblazers, then they start to what we find anyway is they are being followed for a specific reason, not just because they're good looking or they've got some clout or status. They provide value to their audience, and therefore when they speak, it resonates better.
And if we do the math, let's just say we do one campaign
math
with one influencer, and I'm going to use macro one,
Sure.
or even a celebrity. Let's use macro or celebrity.
Sure.
100K for one.
Yep.
Or we could do 10 maybe trailblazers times 10K.
Totally.
Or we could do 100 nanos times 1K.
Yeah.
Would that be a good math?
That'd be so that math works out totally. Yeah.
And those 100 times 1K would all have a different accent, a different look, a different feel, a different flavor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally different. And the cool thing about it is, you may reach a similar amount of people, one celebrity or macro influencer versus a handful of trailblazers or micro or kind of a mix in between. But you're only getting two pieces of content or one piece of content from that one individual versus, if you target a few more, you're getting way more UGC. 100 pieces of content that you can repurpose, videos, pictures, posts. You start to begin to build a tribe of advocates, which is really, kind of the grassroots of when you're trying to build or solidify a brand, kind of what you need to start with, because it's efficient. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It takes a lot of time, and there are platforms out there, obviously, that can help, and we think we're one of them. But at the end of the day, when you can spend a lot of money on celebrities and macro influencers, and the results can be hit or miss depending on who you've got, and is it a risk that a lot of businesses are maybe not willing, but even capable of taking? We don't think so.
Yeah. And you don't want another Subway debacle on your hands, right? They went all in with one guy.
You put all your eggs in one basket. If that basket cracks,
like Jello with Bill Cosby.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you look at the 100, where do you guys play? Do you play in the nano field, shop and shout?
So we play anywhere from our bread and butter is really from 1,000 to about 50,000.
Okay.
And that's kind of where we play and where we find our strong suit. It's where we're able to scale campaigns and where
nano to possibly Trailblazer.
Nano to Trailblazer.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then all the folks that become, and we're speaking those that are influencers watching this, and those that are brands. We're going to speak to both sides. If you're an influencer, you sign up. And then how does it work? You pay for the product ahead of time, and then you're reimbursed. If
for
you
Shop
follow,
for Shop and Shout. Yeah, so for Shop and Shout, the influencer experience is pretty simple. Influencers land on our webpage, they sign up. It's all one touch, connect your Instagram or whatever it is, and then they don't need to pay, so they can actually browse our marketplace for campaigns that brands have created.
Yeah.
And when they, each campaign has specific characteristics, specific requirements that need to be met by the individual influencer. So for example, gender, age, reach, interests, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
If they meet those requirements and they're following an engagement, they can actually opt into the campaign. They don't need to pay anything.
No, okay.
They get the product shipped to them for free.
They do.
They get to experience it, put their hands on it, create content with it.
Yeah.
And then there's also guidelines around what we call the shout out. So that's the post, essentially.
Which is why you're Shop and Shout.
Shop and Shout.
And if they don't do the shout out, what happens?
So if they don't do the shout out, so in that process of when they've opted into a campaign, we actually take a hold on their credit card. So
their credit card is in your system.
Their credit card
there's a hold.
There's a hold done for the influencer's credit
card. Okay, so it is, you charge it. Like a hotel.
It's like a hotel. Yeah, it's like a hotel hold, and as soon as the content's released, then the hold is released. And that's how we're able to scale.
They're liable.
They're liable.
Until they follow through.
Until they follow through.
So you provide that accountability. And has that ever existed before, the accountability? Unless you got a contract or you hire an agency. Which they've got a 20 to 25% buffer on all the.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
But what's your charge to the brand? So now speaking from brand side, why do I want to go with you versus hiring an agency that could do the same for me manually?
Yeah, I think there's advantages to both. I think agencies are awesome for a white glove service, and they can do a lot of things that technology, could hinder.
Yeah.
But if you're looking, if you're looking to scale a campaign quickly and get a lot of influencers and kind of have something running while you're focused on larger projects maybe or other marketing initiatives, then we're a great option to kind of have running while you don't have to touch anything. So we're an autopilot kind of solution to running micro and Trailblazer influencer campaigns.
And what's your charge? What's your rate?
We start at $5.95 per month.
Yeah.
And we go right up depending on what the brand's needs are, how many influencers they want, what type. We go right into $2,500 a month.
Okay. Yeah. And how do you find influencers? Like, why do they join Shop and Shout? Like, are you shouting from the rooftops? Like, join our cool tribe of our marketplace.
Every night before I go to bed, I do a little influencer prayer, and then when I wake up in the morning, there's a few more influencers on board.
Because you have a marketplace for influencers, like a Safeway or a
Safeway,
Save on Foods for influencers.
Save on, exactly. And so we find influencers. So we have some in-house technology. We have a really cool social listening dashboard, so we can actually listen into conversations where influencers are already participating. So we'll go in and we'll do a little bit of guerrilla and pick them up from there.
Yeah.
We also have, we do paid advertising, and hint, hint, nudge, nudge. We use influencers to drive our own signups, right?
Like, hey, I am Sally the influencer. I had a great experience with Shop and Shout.
Yeah.
You should
also
check. I earned this much.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The classic,
exactly. So we use our own. We do what we say to do, and we use influencers to drive our own messaging home. And the nice thing about our platform is it kind of spins off our own marketing, because as influencers opt into campaigns and do shout outs for brands, people see it and then they eventually learn how that campaign came to be and where it stemmed from. So we get a little bit of kickback from that as well. So a lot of our growth has been organic, luckily.
Yeah, of course.
It's been a fun journey.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, as far as when you log in as an influencer, what channels do you guys attribute, and what channels do you engage with? Like, is it Instagram, I imagine?
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and we're just finishing up YouTube and Pinterest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you ever consider LinkedIn?
I know you've been asking. I know I want to do LinkedIn.
Okay.
It is a tough one.
Is it API?
It's less API. We can figure the API stuff out. I believe that, it's the fact that a lot of our clients are health and wellness, fashion, food and beverage, and,
so what's
and
the point?
Bulk of those influencers live and die by Instagram.
Okay.
And I see tremendous value for the B2B side of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, to be honest, I see a huge opportunity because it, quite frankly, is untapped, and it wouldn't take much effort, if at all, for us to kind of dive in there. For us, it's about finding the right brands that are like, hey, we have a B2B service, you know.
It's the chicken and egg
Exactly.
for you, right?
Yeah.
So why make something if you don't think
Exactly.
you can grow in that sector?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally. Yeah, the moment we've got a brand that's like, hey, we would love, you know, we're B2B and we
Yeah.
think we're pretty consumable.
Yeah.
We would love the challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, growth-wise, like we're seeing all these pop-ups of like automated find your influencer tools.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're not an agency.
Nope.
You're not a robot that's
No.
going to find influence for you by putting in certain keywords or phrases.
Yeah.
You're kind of you're playing in the middle.
We're in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the middle and it's cool because, you know, we're not really competing with the agencies.
Because they still have a role.
They still have a role.
Yeah.
There's so much that they do that we just don't do, and we don't, you know, we're not built to do that, and that's fine.
They can almost partner with you.
Yeah, that's,
and
you know,
be
that's where we see the synergies. Is agencies are great, and if you want to deal with a macro or celebrity type influencer, you probably want to deal with an agency or someone that's got a relationship with them, because it's going to be difficult on a platform like Shop and Shop. But if you want to scale 100 influencers into one campaign, we're a really good option.
So some of the requirements are the things that you can ask from an influencer.
Yeah.
Can you ask them, now that you mentioned YouTube, can you ask them to post a video review on YouTube?
Yeah.
Can you ask them to pin some recipes?
Yeah.
Okay. So are those out yet, the YouTube and
No,
Pinterest?
no, these are in development right now, and
In
we're
develop-
looking at a launch date of probably end of March, so a month away.
Okay, March 2019.
Yeah, March 2019.
So on Instagram right now, you can ask them to do a video review on Instagram though, or Facebook.
Yep.
You can ask them to run a contest.
Yep, we do that. We do a lot of contests and giveaways and that kind of stuff. Those are actually really successful campaigns typically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the brands or the types of products that do really well in Shop and Shout?
We've got it's food and beverage does really well. We have, and these can be consumer packaged goods or restaurants. We're actually able to drive foot traffic into restaurants, which they love. We've got a couple awesome clients in Vancouver and abroad, as well as any kind of food related products. So, you know, whether it's healthy bar alternatives, so, you know, Nagy, Free, there's a bunch of other brands out there that are looking to get exposure, cricket bars, you know, this whole cricket protein trend that's happening. We've got a couple brands in our platform and in the pipeline that are interested in running campaigns with us. Okay. Food and beverage, health and wellness, so kind of protein alternatives, vegan protein, whey proteins. That's our bread and butter, and we're slowly starting to dip into more like fashion and tech as well.
Yeah. So what if a brand comes to you and they've got like ridiculous requirements from the influencer, or they only want influencers who are like wear brown pants and have more than like X amount of followers, or, you know, that kind of stuff? Like, are you able to, do you have to kind of talk them down?
So, you know, at the end of the day, our marketplace, we like to call it a democracy. So it's, you know, kind of whatever the brand wants is what can go out there.
And they may not get anyone.
They may not get anyone. So
no
our
one
team
buying their product off the shelves.
No one's going to opt into the campaign
Yeah.
if they think it's, you know, if your product's worth, let's just take an example, $10, and you're looking for an influencer with 20,000 followers, you know, that influencer with 20,000 followers realizes they're worth more than, you know, the $10 product kind of thing. And it's not to be insulting, it's just to manage expectations. And so when brands come to us, we try to identify, you know, based on the brand, we can identify very easily with them what their ideal influencer possibly is. And then we try to work with, you know, what is your budget in terms of how many influencers a month can you work with? How many, you know, products can you ship? And then based on their goals for, let's call it velocity, we try to come up with the ideal requirements in terms of following engagement rates, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So I remember there's a agency in Toronto called #Paid.
Yeah.
He's been on the show before.
Yeah.
On their website, they used to have it where you would plug in your social information, and then it would tell you like how many followers you have and what what you could charge.
Totally.
They gave like an estimate of what you could charge, and it was reasonable. But then I remember going back to their site, and they changed it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't about how many followers you have, it was your engagement level.
Totally.
So they actually stopped saying, well, we don't care if you've got this many followers or this many followers, it was, are they engaged?
Yep, exactly.
So do you use a similar tool?
We use a similar tool. We've actually kind of got an algorithm that we use internally where we not only focus on following and engagement rates, but we're also going to another level where now we can actually identify people that unfortunately buy followers and buying engagement. And
I saw an app last week that had a cat. Their brand is a cat, and you plug in an Instagram thing, and it tells you if they've had a spike or a massive drop, and it's because they either bought something or they did a massive campaign, but typically they did a massive buy.
Totally.
And if they did a big loss because of Instagram did a
purge.
bot filter. Yeah.
So
you use a tool like that?
So it's our own algorithm. So when
Okay.
an influencer sign-ups, they go through, kind of a vetting gauntlet. And they come out the other side, and we understand their audience demographics, we understand their engagement rates, have they ever bought or, bought followers or bought engagement. And, we're able to, I think that we've got probably some of the best tech out there to vet an influencer efficiently and quickly. We looked at, trying to create a standardized pricing model. And I felt that would have, the industry is evolving so quickly that, we decided we weren't going to do that. We weren't going to be the ones to determine what someone is worth.
Yeah. But so you're more like it's a democratic shopping mall made for influencers.
Yeah.
So in a perfect world, like you become the go-to spot for all campaigns, and then you have influencers on all different levels.
Totally.
And then they can choose whether to take it or not. But they're not getting cash out of the deal. They're all barters,
Products,
right? Or they're getting free product and exposure and opportunity.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. So we're trying to build a community where we want to be the home where micro influencers grow. So we want to get influencers from under 1,000, get them some brands to work with, some content going. Because at the end of the day,
you're like eHarmony.
Yeah,
for those,
sure.
For those nano startups.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We set up micro influencers with their first collaborations.
Are you okay with that comparison?
You know what? Their brand is huge. Yeah, let's do it.
You're okay?
Yeah, totally.
Because you're setting people up on.
Similar. Yeah, I think the difference between us and a dating site is the fact that we're fully automated for the brand side.
Yeah, so you're more like Tinder.
Almost, except they don't need to talk to each other.
Yeah.
No one needs to talk. The exchange just happens through our platform. They don't need to say hi or introduce or something.
Yeah.
The brands can see the influencer's resume
and they can swipe through all the products as an influencer and pick the ones they want.
Pick the ones they qualify and want.
And then they become liable. They put their credit card in, but if they fulfill what they said they're going to do, they get paid.
The whole is released. They keep the gear. And
there's no deal. You're not dealing with contracts and follow up and.
Yeah.
When are you going to post that thing?
What? Oh, right? Yeah.
Right.
That's the biggest. Yeah, no,
right?
That's the biggest.
It's all dealt with.
It's all dealt with, yeah.
Because they take the risk.
They take the
So
risk.
what? And again, just throwing this out there, what if they take the photo down like a month later?
Good question. That's it's tough to monitor. That's
Anyone
kind of life.
can do that.
Anyone can do that.
You had a contractor, you had an agency,
Anyone
or
can
not.
do that. Yeah, exactly. We've got kind of a 3-strike process internally when we do find things that kind of go sideways on us. We've identified it. I think only twice last year did something go sideways, and we had to compensate the brands.
Then they get flagged.
They get flagged, and they don't get to use our platform again, and that's that's the way it
their
goes.
loss.
Yeah, that's their loss.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing for trends for this upcoming year, like in the influencer world and in the marketing world?
Instagram stories, huge trend. Yeah, the engagement rate on Instagram stories is significantly higher than that on Instagram profiles.
So swiping up.
So swiping up, is huge. So to get to 10K followers for brands and influencers is becoming increasingly important.
Okay,
Yeah.
because
Because when you get to 10K, you get the swipe up feature, and that's when you can start to kind of put people on targeted landing pages, be a little bit more direct with your messaging, maybe take them into a chat group or a survey group, and you can do a lot of activations through that swipe up feature.
Okay.
So we want to help as many influencers and brands get there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you providing like workshops or training or webinars?
So we come out with a weekly blog. We do tips and tricks for influencers. For us, the scalability of doing the in-house training and stuff like that is tough because we're we're an influencer in Toronto and an influencer in Vancouver. Very difficult to get those times to align. But we're looking on doing more webinars and kind of providing more value-added content to them. But the in-house workshops is just tough to scale.
Okay. And this next year, as far as B2C campaigns, what channels are going to be the most vibrant, would you say? Like listing it from top to bottom.
Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram in terms of social.
And would you say IGTV stories or the
specifically? I would go IG stories,
Yeah.
IGTV, and then IG channel, the post itself.
Okay.
In that order. Facebook's still up there. Twitter is great for conversational.
Yeah.
The Twitter was actually the leading platform for the widget finger.
Really?
Yeah. Go
Okay.
figure. Yeah. So when you get the product that's simple enough and you just need to get it going, Twitter can get very viral very quickly.
Yeah.
The downside is there's not really content around it, right? So from a marketing aspect, if you hit the wave, you got it. It's awesome. But if you don't have any content or much else to show for it. Yeah. And then Facebook is super strong, and then partnering with really strong bloggers, whether depending on their niche and that kind of stuff. It's good for your SEO. It's great content that you can then repurpose. You can obviously pick some testimonials out of it. So we find using social and using influencers, whether they're bloggers, whether they're B2B experts. You know, an influencer is kind of a loose term today, because an influencer is really someone that has a stronghold or clout in a certain space.
Yeah, and it could be even Snap or
Snapchat.
Twitch,
Yep.
which again, you might not even know. Like, well, Twitch, you can know their
Yep.
followership, but
Yep.
Snap, it's harder to even like
hard.
enter the Snap world
Yep.
unless you're advertising in an area that doesn't get seen very much.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's why Instagram came out with stories and channels, is because they provide the metrics.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more transparent than Snap.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a cool evolution to be a part of, and a cool trend to kind of try to stay on top of.
Yeah.
Because every day there's something new, and you've got to try to stay on top of it and kind of take all the information you can, and then piece it together yourself, and sometimes tell your own story and what you think works based on your experience.
Cool. And on a personal level, what do you what kind of phone are you? iOS or are you an Android guy?
Oh, I'm super Android.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm super Google phone. I had an iPhone a long time ago,
Yeah.
and I never went back to it.
Okay.
I think it's probably because I need more than one button.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so I don't know what it is. I get made fun of all the time for
Really?
it. Yeah. Everyone at work is pretty much Apple except Vitas and I.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's fine. I have no problems with Android.
And what are the apps that you can't live without on a daily basis?
I'm less of a phone app guy and more of a work productivity app guy.
So, okay.
Boomerang is
Okay.
is my and anyone at work sees this, they're gonna roll their eyes.
Yeah.
But I use Boomerang, and it helps me practice zero inbox. So
Yeah.
when I go to bed, I typically have next to nothing in my inbox, or just what I'm gonna take care of first thing in the morning. And Boomerang's an app that allows you to send things later. It allows you to, take things out of your inbox and put them back in when they're relevant.
Yeah.
And so, it helps me stay super organized.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And anything else on the productivity?
On the app side, we just adopted this app called Week Done, which
Okay.
is just kind of a company-wide app for us now. And it's project manage at a high level.
Okay.
So it's less detailed than what most people would look at for project management. But what it does is it allows all of us to kind of look at the company's objective, which and one of our objectives is to be the largest, most engaged social community of influencers out there. And so each one of our team members is responsible for different activities. And if we hit all those activities, we should be able to achieve our goal. So this allows us to kind of see what everyone else is working on and doing, and then taking a big step back and looking at how it contributes to the big picture.
Okay, I need to ask. Do you remember Klout.com? Klout.
Yeah.
Do they still exist?
They do, and
No,
yeah,
where
they
are
do.
they?
They're
Klout, where are you right now?
So Klout, I feel like what happened is the company's dropped off, but the algorithm that calculates Klout exists still.
Really?
Yeah. So we have a piece of technology that actually can factor in Klout. It's not a very. It's now a
so
publicly known,
funny.
but.
So I remember they did an event where if you had a certain level of Klout or not, it was at Metrotown at Metropolis.
Yeah.
And it was like they had all these brands that were involved, and that was like their first physical, personification of
Totally,
Klout. But other than that, I never really saw anything come down the pipe. Like it reminds me of Shop and Shout a bit, because they were supposed to send certain Klout levels, certain items, or certain perks.
Certain perks. I think they focused a lot on getting their metrics right, and not just kind of getting the influencers
Perks.
going and learning what they want and what they don't want, and that thing. And I also know the algorithm is heavily focused on Twitter. So when
Which is
Michelle
becoming-
Obama or even Trump say something on Twitter, people listen whether they agree or not. I'm not going to get into that. But that proves to be Klout on their thing, whereas we're so focused on Instagram and Facebook and other
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Yeah, we'll get there. I promise. I know you're waiting for it. I promise. The moment I have a LinkedIn API link, you're gonna sign up as an influencer, and we're gonna get you some whatever B2B campaign.
Well, even our clients,
our
they're
clients,
the B2B,
totally.
they're not easy people to find.
No, they're not. You're right. If you want to do a B2B product. You're looking at LinkedIn ads. You're looking at LinkedIn as an awesome avenue, but not necessarily the influencer side. And I don't agree with it. It's just kind of the way that things have happened so far. And I think that there's definitely room to buck that trend and to kind of to have a leader come out of that space and just start doing it.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And as far as like books, podcasts, blogs, e-newsletters that you really recommend, what would you say that you think are awesome these days?
Jam Talks is pretty good.
Okay.
That's you guys.
Oh, okay. I'll take Jam Talks. Yeah.
I read so much on Bloomberg and Forbes, and I try to stay very, very industry focused.
Yep.
And my, daily and weekly readings tend to be focused around other experts in the space or around the space. I read a lot of your stuff, and kind of just get an idea of the lay of the land and what's happening in news. And I watch the news a lot and try to stay focused on current events.
Yep.
For reads, when I get into like a book, I try to step away from work and I try to get into, things that are. I don't like fiction. I like educational things.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books that I'm just finishing up, Bill Bryson's Brief History of Nearly Everything.
Yes,
And it's
he's great.
it's such a well-written
Yeah.
book and easy to read and
Yeah.
kind of, allows you to think about things in a different way. And so I really enjoy kind of reading books like that and watching different documentaries about, whether it's the food industry, which I'm super fascinated about, or just, other business people and entrepreneurs. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the whole, what happened, one of the pieces that came out of the Fire Festival was that everyone now has to say #ad, or they have to really be clear that it's an ad.
Yeah.
And Canada, again, with the, Canadian Ads Council and other
Right.
folks, they're really trying to make sure influencers are doing that.
Totally.
So should an influencer be fined if they do not disclose that it's an ad?
Where does the liability sit?
Yeah.
According to law, they should be. I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it should be at the influencer's disclosure.
Okay. And who's policing that too?
The Canadian Advertising Standards and Agency are typically the ones that policing it, but they've got their hands full with so many other, large advertisements from Best Buy, London Drugs, like all the nationals. I think they're looking at them first to see how they're advertising.
Yeah.
I think that an influencer morally should say, #sponsored or paid if they are being, in fact, paid money for it.
Okay.
I think if someone gives you a product and you can formulate an opinion around it and you decide to share that opinion, that's where I'm, neither here nor there.
So because they're getting something for free, like a barter exchange. Would you use that term, barter?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Through Shop and Shout, because you don't pay them.
Correct.
No, and are you looking at adding a payment system
Yes.
down the road?
Yeah, that's happening this summer probably.
This summer, okay, new iteration.
Yeah.
So that will be an
and
upgrade.
it's going to be focused on kind of what we call like an elite influencer. So certain engagement rates, certain following.
150 plus.
75K plus. We're going to split
high
the segment.
engagement.
High engagement.
Because this is one thing. So I went and signed up on your website.
Yeah.
And then Caroline, who works in our office, also signed up on
Yeah.
your site. But her engagement was off the chain, like almost triple my engagement.
Yeah.
But I had more followers. So
Right.
there were certain things I got available to me.
Right.
But there were certain things she got available to her.
Because of her engagement.
Which I found so fascinating
totally.
about your program.
Yeah, totally. So
Okay.
when we onboard the brands, there's a bit of a consultation process. So
what do the two differences mean?
Yeah, exactly. So kind of, what do you want out of the campaign? What are your goals? And that's when our team works with you to kind of craft that campaign. Is it, are you going to be set on engagement and is that your driver, or is it going to be, do you want to reach a bunch of people? And then, reach becomes kind of the main factor. So.
But your thoughts are, if it's a barter, it's up to the influencer to decide. This was given, like going to an event. Like I remember people who got a free ticket to an event who work here at Jelly.
Yeah.
Were asking me like, do I need to disclose on my stories that this was given to me?
Sponsored, yeah.
Because it was they didn't they're now thinking like, hey, I got given a ticket to an event.
Right.
So do I post that it was free?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's up to the individual. I think if you're being paid, you should certainly disclose that you're being paid to say something.
Yes.
But I think that if you got something for free and you want to say that you're having a good time and going for it, then it's up to you. What I do think naturally happens is there's a certain level of clout associated with getting things for free because you're popular or have authority in a space, and I think a lot of it comes to do with, hey, you know what, I'm popular. I'm going to say I got this for free, and that in turn for them generates potentially more business opportunities.
The
momentum. Yeah.
I find that Miss 604, who's from Vancouver here.
She's on our platform.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. I was gonna say. So she got kind of one of the groundbreaking kind of interesting things in media was she was one of the first bloggers. I think maybe the first blogger to be invited to the Olympics as an accredited press person.
Yeah.
And happened in 2010
She
in
did a good
Vancouver.
job.
Yeah. And I think that was one of the biggest game changers for bloggers and influencers when it was like, wow, there's a blogger who's at the table with CNN.
Totally.
And that stuff. But what I've noticed about her blog over the years is she always says, this was given to me. At the beginning of her blog, it's like, this item was given to me. I was not paid to write this, but I was given this for free.
Totally.
She's always been really, really transparent with that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I think it's to your own brand. I think they're,
Which is her style,
Which is
right?
her style, and transparency does sell because people believe it.
Yeah, that's really good. So she's on the platform, using it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Totally.
awesome. So anything else you want to leave listeners and viewers about what they should be looking for in 2019, what things that they should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, focus on Instagram. I would say
Okay.
focus on your Instagram strategy and how you tell your brand story
Okay.
and who's telling your brand story. Because the more and more you've got to tell your own brand story,
Yep.
the less and less believable it becomes. And when you can bring advocates or have other people telling your story for you, that's when you create authentic resonance and advocacy for the brand. And that's
Would you say it's more important what others say about you than what you say about you?
100%. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
If I tell you I'm good looking, you don't believe it. Well, you can see me, so you know that's a lie. But I mean, if a bunch of people tell you
Yeah.
I'm good looking, then maybe you might believe that I'm actually good looking.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. This was a very
Thanks,
informative.
man. Thanks for having me. I totally love it. Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what's happening
Yeah,
down the
thanks,
pipe as you add new features.
Thanks, man.
Like the payment system.
Yeah,
like that's
totally.
that'll be a big game changer, right?
It'll be a big game
Because
changer,
you'll now be able to provide that upgraded level of, hey, we do have some budget. We don't just have free product.
Exactly.
But those of you that are on the brand side, looking to distribute product and get some product out there, some experiences out there, Shop and
Yeah.
Shout's great for that. And on the influencer side, if you're looking for a shopping mall of awesomeness,
Yeah,
here's a
thanks.
great option.
Yeah, thanks. We'd love to have you and you know, we pride ourselves on feedback. So if you ever have anything for us and you've used our platform, let us know.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate your time.
See you guys.
Bye.